Blackmagic Raw, ProRes HQ, Color Science, incredibly intuitive menus. Bro, what is this? I really hate complaining about things to you guys. I promise you, I'm a really chill guy. But today, I got my hands on the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K. And I'm underwhelmed. Honestly, just first impressions just picking this thing up, it feels like a toy. And then there's the sheer size of this thing. Like, I don't know why it's so huge. As a creative, functionality and ergonomics in a tool is paramount. I really don't want to step on the toes of any of my friends or any of you guys who have the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K, but I'm a little bit confused as to who this camera is for. When I picked up my Z-Cam, I was originally looking at getting a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K instead of this. I'm glad I got the Z-Cam. Maybe I'm just spoiled to the form factor of a box cinema camera, but this camera doesn't make sense to me. I've seen tons of videos where people are talking about the battery life on this camera and how it's abysmal. This genuinely brings me pain. I put in the memory card that they shipped with the camera, which is 64 gig SD card. I don't know why they gave me a 64 gig. So because this camera only shoots in ProRes or Blackmagic Raw, your file sizes are absolutely huge. It's great. It says I have 4 minutes of recording time. I don't have any other options for codecs. It's just Blackmagic Raw and ProRes. Why does this thing feel like it's not like being serious? Why is it so? It said I could only record for 4 minutes, but before I could even get to recording for 4 minutes, the battery died. It's like, all right, cool. Literally, I think the camera wasn't on for any more than 15 minutes before it just shut off at 30%. I'm like, all right, so standard media is not going to work well with this, obviously, because the file sizes are enormous. What I can't wrap my head around right now is the form factor of this camera compared to the functionality of this camera. The form factor says, hey, I've got a nice big touchscreen. You can change all your controls from the back of the camera here. You're not going to need another battery. So it's not like we give you any options for adding a bigger battery. The LPE6 battery should be good. Yeah, you can just use it like this. You should be good. I don't think you guys understand how confused I am. I am not against rigging up a camera. I am totally for it. Like, a camera should be versatile and functional. As soon as you start rigging this camera up, it starts becoming less and less functional. For example, you need a bigger battery because the battery life, it basically doesn't exist. You're gonna have to buy a cage, make this huge thing even bigger, and then you can mount a battery plate onto that, and that battery plate is gonna stick up right here, just a nice big battery on the top of the camera, because the battery inside is like, why would you expect to use that? Say you want an even bigger battery. Okay, you get a V-mount battery. Where do the V-mount batteries normally go? Right behind the screen. I've seen so many rigs with people rigging this thing up to have a big battery so that they can even use it, and it basically renders the screen useless because where are you putting a battery? Like, I don't understand why it's so huge and it can't do a lot of things. Yes, it has some great video functions in it, built in. The user interface is literally the best user interface for any camera on the market. That's just hands down, Blackmagic wins for me every single day. But why would I buy a camera that has a form factor of something that I shouldn't rig out to rig it out? Doesn't make any sense to me. This is my Z-Cam E2C. Now, I bought this knowing that I was gonna have to rig it out, but look at the footprint of this thing. It's tiny. This is the camera. This is the base that you start off with to build out to any specification you want, and it will actually fit on the gimbal. This thing physically cannot fit on my gimbal. I need to get an extension plate to get this thing to fit on the gimbal. I don't understand what use case I would have for this camera other than on a tripod or in a shoulder rig that's fully built out, and I don't shoot like that. I really like the idea of this camera and I really wanted to use this camera, but I don't understand why I would get one of these when I could just get another Z cam and it'll shoot at 120 frames per second. This is the E2C. This isn't even the E2M4, and this thing shoots ProRes internally as well. It has 10-bit color, but it also shoots on an H.265 codec. And yes, I know that not everybody's computer can run H.265. My computer can handle it. What my computer can't handle is 15 billion terabytes of footage that look exactly the same as my Zcam. And yes, we can argue that ProRes is better and the quality is greater because higher bit rates and less compression. That's true. But for the content that I'm creating, it really doesn't matter. I really, really want this camera to work for me. So I'm gonna try it out this weekend and see what happens. I'm blown. It's a very impractical camera to use for anything other than looking at it and turning it on to like play with the menu for about 30 seconds before the camera dies. I really wanted this to work out between us, Blackmagic, but it's not me, it's you.